that thing? Is that a missile? Or is that a meteorite? What the hell? It's breaking apart. What the hell? That's up in the atmosphere is what that is.
Well, it seems like two dots.
Yeah.
One right at the very center and one up on the top left.
What in the crap? I'd say I used to see something similar when at Vandenberg Air Force Base used to send rockets up.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it looked like when they were coming through the atmosphere.
Those dots are getting further apart.
That is freaking nuts.
Missiles, because of nuclear, because of weapons of warfare that I can't even talk about. 2 weeks ago, they saw weapons that nobody ever heard of. They weren't able to fire one shot at us. They said, what happened? Everything was discombobulated. They said, we've got them in our sights. Press the trigger, and nothing happened. No anti-aircraft missiles went up. There was one that went up about 30 feet and crashed down right next to the people that sent it. They said, what the hell is going on? Those defensive systems were made by Russia and by China. So they're going to go back to the drawing boards, I guess.
Everyone, the entire American public, has been lied to for decades.
Yeah, there's a sophisticated disinformation program campaign targeting the U.S. populace, which is extremely unethical and immoral.
You are saying to the human race, for the first time, an official intelligence representative at a high level from the U.S. government is saying publicly, we are not alone.
We're definitely not alone. Absolutely, the data points empirically that we're not alone, yeah.
Do we have bodies? Do we have species of...
Well, naturally, when you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true.
It's also harder for people to wrap their minds around the concept of...
All right, shalom. It's your bro Yakov from the Gym Chicago branch coming through another lesson through the Spirit Power about Shema Shai. Before I start off, start by giving all praise and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash. Uplines to the positive great meals, don't will, and sight all you brethren on the folk on the earth, pushing his word in truth, sincerity, right? And we know Esau ain't caught no motherfucking, first off, the angels don't crash, right? Because the UFOs, all right, is basically, controlled, through their spirits, man. So, there's really no room for error, man. All right, it goes where it wants. All right, the scripture says it don't have to turn left or right. It just, it goes, without having to maneuver, man, because it's controlled by the spirit of the angel. That's inside the vehicle, man. All right, and these UFOs are UAPs, are known as chariots in the scriptures, man. All right, vehicles of the Lord, chariots of the Lord, man. All right, we know what they are, man. We're not, dismayed at the signs of heaven. We're not thinking that, it's little green man, right, as Esau like to proclaim, and depict, right? We know that those are the vehicles of Yahweh Bashmal Shah. Those are the vehicles that the Lord is going to return to deliver his elect with, and also have a hand in destroying, all right, this whole system, and Babylon, right, a.k.a. America, man. But with that being said, I'm bringing out a few precepts. This Isaiah 19:1, it says, the burden of Egypt, behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall melt, and be moved at his presence. It says, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it, right? Hey, so the Lord said he's coming, riding upon a swift cloud, man. All right. The scripture tells you that, the same way that, our Lord Yahushua left is the same way he's going to return. And guess what? He was taken up in the cloud, right? Which is a chariot, man. Right? And he was taken out of their presence, man. So the Lord, he's coming back in the same fashion, man. All right, but he as the scripture said, he's not gonna meet thee as a man. He's coming back in his glow, right? It says, he's coming with the host of heaven, man. It says right here. It says, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall melt at his presence. So when the Lord returns, everybody's gonna gonna tremble, man. There's gonna be weeping and gnashing the teeth, man. All right, the Lord is gonna come back, to put things in order, man. Right, and set up the kingdom of heaven, man. The scripture says that the slain of the Lord shall be many. Right, so when he comes, he's not doing no talking, no negotiating. Right, he's gonna basically get straight to putting things in order, man. He's gonna take the kingdom by force. Right, that's Isaiah 26:20. It says, come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed. Right, and that's what's gonna happen, man. When the Lord, when it's time for them ICBMs to be shot off, the Lord is gonna, simultaneously deliver the elect, man, so they don't have to partake in that, in that third woe, man. So that they don't have to partake in a second death, man, which is via ICBM missile fire, man, right? And the elect is going to be beamed up in the chariots of Yahweh Shema Shai. And that's why, the Lord is coming back with the host of heaven, man. Our brothers, man, the angels, man, and the heavens is coming back, man, and Lord will we be part of that number. The Lord is going to beam us up in them chariots, as the missiles are being shot off, from all these different nations, to strike here in Babylon and various parts of the earth. The elect is going to be delivered, from this coming destruction, And how is that going to happen? By so-called UFOs, man, right? This is 2 Kings 6:17. It says, and Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots and fire round about Elisha, right? So, hey, this ain't nothing new, man. All right, chariots, sightings in the scriptures, man. He couldn't see the chariots at first, but when the Lord opened his eyes, he's seen the host of heaven on his side, man. That's why the scripture says there be many with us than there is with them. See, the Lord is always watching, man. The angels is always here, coming in and out, right? Reporting to the Lord what's going on, man. Right? They can cloak, so they could be right there. You don't even see them, man. They could cloak with their environment. You don't have to see a chariot. The chariot allows you to see it. Because you don't have to see it, man. It could be right over you, man, and you never know, right? But yeah, man, that's what it is, man, and that's how it's gonna be in that day, man. You gonna have all the chariots show themselves, man, right, and come into this come into the atmosphere, man, right. Esau, he's gonna tremble, man. All these kings are gonna tremble, man, because they don't got no technology that could destroy, the Lord's power, man, right? The Lord's army, See, the Lord gave Esau all his power, man. So he don't have any power outside of Yahweh Shema Shai. So when Yahweh Shema Shai brings his power, Esau's cooked, man, right? And that's what's gonna happen, man. The Lord's gonna come in a great fashion and take this place out of out of rulership, man, and set up the kingdom of heaven, Yasharallah, where the Israelites are going to be back in their rightful position. The Israelites, these so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man, right? Our judgment is going to be finished, and it's going to be time for Esau and these other nations to get their judgment, Right, this is Revelation 18:4, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues." Right, and that's a part of the of prophecy, man. Us being taken up, man, and delivered, man. You know, being changed, you know, and then taken up, man. Right, because we're not gonna be able to go up inside these vile bodies, man. You know, these bodies are decrepit, defiled, you know, you know, all type of words, man, you know. But hey, the Lord is gonna change us, give us those new bodies, deliver us, right, via so-called UFOs, man, right, and set up the kingdom of heaven here on earth, man, right. And then also the UFOs gonna have a part in destroying this place too, with that concentrated laser fire, man. It talks about in the Apocrypha, man, right. Talks about sparks and tempests came out the mouth of the chariot. You know, and you know, upon a new multitude, there was nothing but, you know, dust and the smell of smoke, man. You know, it's gonna have a great part in this destruction, man. You know, so hey, we're not dismayed at the signs of heaven, man. Yahweh Shema Shai is coming, you know, with his vehicles of salvation, vehicles of destruction. He's gonna deliver the elect, right? And that's what the UFOs are, man. There ain't no fucking green man in them, right? You know, as Esau like to say, and you know, you know, brainwash Jake with, man. So without making off by giving all praise and glory due to Yahweh Shema Shai, by Shema Kakadash, belongs to the positive great millstone real and citations to you brothers.